Yeah.
Welcome to the Power Connect webinar, brought to you by the BA Lab.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the BA Power Connect. We are so super excited because the journey to the BA Symposium is nearing. I am Zilondile, and hosting with me today is AB the BA. As we count down to the BA Symposium, we are super excited to be joined by powerhouse voices, Nongleba and Yolanda. I'm just going to let Nongleba in as well. Welcome, ladies. And before we begin, maybe you can introduce yourselves. Yolanda, you may start, and then Nongleba, after that, you can also just introduce yourselves.
Evening, everyone. My name is Yolanda Bokwana. I am a seasoned compliance professional, and I'm sure you guys are holding your chests asking why compliance is here. I have got a good 19 years behind my belt practicing compliance. And I've had the pleasure of working with some of the industry's best business analysts in solving some of the legislative or regulatory requirements. And so I am just here to talk about my experience and probably what you can expect for the symposium.
Awesome. Nice to meet you, Yolanda. Nongleba?
It looks like we've lost Nongleba there for a bit, but I think,
okay.
Yeah, she can introduce herself once she comes back in.
Awesome stuff.
Yeah.
Then we'll just get right straight to it. I like that, Yolanda, you come from a different perspective altogether in that you come with compliance and all of that. So in our world of business analysis, how do you impact us?
So essentially, as business analysts, you guys are solving problems, making some of the business processes efficient, whether it be manual or digital. And the work that you do might impact a regulatory or legislative requirement, right? And so it's very important as part of the governance of your journey that you take us through that journey so that by the time you go into governance forums like go no go forums where you want to deploy what you've worked on, we are not the blockers, because essentially we'll be part of that approval process. And I think BAs that have gone through that process, or seasoned BAs that have gone through that process, know how frustrating it is that when you've gotten to the tail end, there's someone that says, in fact, no. And I'm that person.
Is that person that they always say, no, you the blocker to everything, huh?
Yep.
But I see Nongleba is back. So maybe we can quickly let her introduce herself, and then we can get us started as well. She's still frozen in time. It looks like she's having a bit of difficulty with the network, but that's still okay. I mean, I had the pleasure of meeting Yolanda, and I must say, when we talk about a powerhouse in compliance, she's the person that we're talking about. And I must add that she's going to be part of the symposium, and it will be beneficial and valuable for you to come and learn what expertise she has to share and the knowledge that she has to share with everybody. Not only her experience, but her know-how and her way of doing things is going to be something that you want to learn. As a BA, it's something that it's an incredible asset to have, to be able to understand what goes on in compliance and what you need to do to be aligned with someone like Yolanda. But just to kick us off, Yolanda, what can our attendees expect from you from our session at the symposium, without giving too much away, of course?
So I am going to talk specifically about the strategic processes that a BA can take in taking compliance through their journey. That is to make their journey far more seamless. And what I'll be also doing is I'll be taking you through practical examples that you would have seen in the media of what's the worst thing that can happen when you don't take compliance through the journey. And these are things that have historically been publicized. And then also some of my key learnings, things that are not out in the media, but things that I have experienced when I've worked with BAs that have either made the process much more easier and a good experience, a cost-saving experience for business. So yeah, the bad and the good of that particular strategic journey.
Yeah, I get the cost saving part because that's what makes businesses, hey. And
Yeah.
without what you do and the kind of knowledge and expertise that you bring, many businesses might either see themselves, running out of money, or because of non-compliance, they are facing lawsuits, they are facing legal
Yep.
action, and a whole lot of other things that can compromise the very functions of the core functions of the business. So I think that is a very important point to put on.
Definitely.
Do we
Definitely.
do we have Nonkeba back? We're still frozen. Okay. But yeah, like I was saying, I think that's a very important point to touch on. And you don't really understand the impact that you have until you are in the field and you are with BAs, and they're giving solutions, and they're giving solutions to problems that you're having in their business, but they don't
Yep.
understand the overall impact that might have. Is it aligned
Mhm.
uh, with legislature? I mean, you touched on
Mhm.
legislature on your first point, and I think that was important because you know previously we talked about legislature not just in the country, but businesses operate beyond the borders
Yep.
of the countries that we are in right now, and now you have to understand: are we aligning with the cross borders that we are diving into, the different countries that we're going into? Are the things that we are doing compliant to the kind of legislatures, the kind of rules and laws that they have in those countries? Are we not breaking anything? Are we not putting ourselves in danger of breaking laws and being liable for
Yep.
legal suits and those kinds of things? And that is important, and that's why I think that it's important for BAs, not just BAs, but even the people who can learn from your field, people who are aspiring to become
Mhm.
what you are, can learn a great deal from what you have to bring. But what I want to know, Yolanda, is what do you think? Why do you think your topic is important for business analysis today?
Everything that a BA is going to do has a legislative impact. Everything that we do in supporting the businesses that we support stems from a piece of legislation, right? And therefore, what is important in understanding is a particular process, a particular feature might be impacted by pieces of legislation that you are not even aware of. I'll make an example. So, seeding policies, as an example. Um, in a banking world, you're going to talk about FICA, you're going to talk about phase, they're going to talk about POPI. Those are the pieces of legislation that everybody's aware of, right, in financial institutions. While you can have something as seeding a policy, which is governed by a law, contract law specifically, that could result in a loss for a business. So if you haven't catered for that requirement, and you inadvertently pay out a policy to a client who has previously seeded a policy, that financial institution or that entity, because it does not only rest on financial institutions, but that entity can have an operational loss because they have to pay over the cedant, right? And they then have to recover those funds. But because every single day people are hearing about FICA phase and they don't take into consideration that a process might have multiple pieces of legislation that are applicable to it. And that's why it's very important to take a compliance officer on that journey, because they are going to tell you, here there is this particular piece of legislation that impacts this feature, this process, this enhancement, and we must cater for it.
Wow. I feel like there's a seat that should be reserved here for entrepreneurs and BAs alike, because I feel like this is a conversation that would benefit both right now. Just not just as a business analyst, but somebody who is in charge of an enterprise should be. They should have a seat and listen to the insight that you have, because I feel like this is very valuable if you're going to run anything. So thank you very much for that. Never. Are you back? She was back momentarily. Okay, we'll expect her back again. But just to touch on what you were saying, I feel like most BAs are so solution driven that it kind of passes them by the side, that they don't think about the how the solutions are intertwined with how they must be compliant. And you touch a lot on that, and I think that is very important. So I see Nongaba moving. So, but what I picked up from you the time we're having a conversation, which I also wished everybody was there, is that you touched on the fact that when things go wrong, especially in the business space, you have to be the cool head. You have to be the person that looks at all the aspects that affect the solutions that are driven, that are implemented, and apart from just being compliant, what is the risk? What is the risk?
Definitely.
And because the risk is not stagnant. It's not always cast in stone that it's A, B, and C. It's something that sometimes even legislature is not as clear as it should be in black and white. But how do you navigate around that? How do you then check what are the ways that we can go around this legislature, or be just as compliant as we can without having too much risk on the business, and on whatever piece of solution we're trying to implement in the business.
So again, I think one of the things that I'm always about is strategic partnerships. As a BA, you don't necessarily need to know it all. You just need to be able to partner with people that know it all. So taking a compliance officer on that journey is a person that can advise you on the regulatory or legislative risks that you are exposed to in that in that feature or process, right? An ops risk partner might be able to tell you about the operational risks and other categories of risk that you would be exposed to. So I think a lot of the times we always want to be superheroes, and superhero syndrome is going to be what will be to your detriment if you want to be the person that knows it all. You must always be a person that can, as a BA specifically, be a person that can build strategic partnerships that allow you to get the necessary and appropriate insights in the work that you're doing. So by the time you deliver, you're delivering a thing that is not only efficient and fit for purpose, but it is also having considered the respective risks and the necessary controls to manage or mitigate those risks. You're on mute, AB.
Sorry about that. So there's this one that is very exciting, right? And everybody's talking about it. AI is a game changer in our industries. And as much as when new technology comes in, it's all about people are scared to use it. This might cause some risks with security. So there's a lot of concerns, but there's also a lot of advantages because it brings in a tool that you are able to enhance the work that you're doing
Mm,
and kind of improve on the things that you did previously to do manually, tedious
mm.
tasks, and it helps fast track the rate at which we do things successfully.
Yeah.
What do you think about AI? Just on the surface, how does it impact your work? Is it something that you use? Would you
I
advise other
oh,
people to use it?
I am in love with AI. I will tell you this to the point where I feel like I'm the AI snob right now, because I'm going to tell you about generative learning and how one AI solution is able to mimic how a Yolanda would do things based on, the line of questioning my thought processes. It can understand all of those things and preempt the things that I'm probably interested in. And then there's others where it's not as efficient when it comes to generative learning. And there I struggle a little bit. So I remember today we had a conversation in the office actually, and I was not happy with one particular AI solution. But I think AI as if properly governed, which I think a lot of entities are currently undergoing that governance framework, can definitely create sort of efficiencies in processes, and that's what it's intended for. I don't believe that, and I think there's this fear that people say AI will take our jobs away. It can
It's
never
meant to
happen.
enhance, you know.
It can't take your job. Like, in
Yeah,
as much as we want digital solutions, at the end of the day, when things break, you want that person, that man, to look me in the eye. I want to tell you something. I'm not
yeah,
happy. So there's always going to be a man at the end of the process, because
yeah.
rules break, things happen, technology can fail, and there must always be people in the background that are always able to identify when things change, when rules break, um, and be able to then change how the AI learns code differently. So that's the new skill coming forward. So it's just about how do we adapt our own skills to cater for a changing environment. We don't have to be writing things and drawing flow maps anymore, because you can tell AI and AI will tell you. It's
Yeah.
now about understanding how do we make those things efficient. So I think that's the benefit, and I'm in love with AI. I'm sorry. My colleagues
AI
would beg to differ.
AI is definitely, a very useful tool to have because I feel like it really enhances. But, a lot of people have, dismissed it as something that um, I guess people don't like change. And change sometimes can feel a bit scary, especially when you're using something that you're not very familiar with. Have you
Mhm,
had challenges with people that are resistant to change, resistant to having that tool being used, maybe because they feel that it's abused, or do you feel that it's abused sometimes? Because I mean, I read articles every day about universities banning the use of AI, during
mm,
assignments for
mhm,
research, and I mean, sometimes I felt like it could be better used in the implementation process to be able to guide learners on how to use it to be able to better do research and
mhm.
assignments and so forth. But do you feel like it's being abused, or have you had some resistance in your workspace? People who don't want to adapt to that change of AI being introduced.
Not necessarily. I think for most part, people are excited about it. But in their excitement, I think they may possibly um, not be as prudent as what they need to be, right? Understanding the rules of AI, how AI in fact works, before you can use it for whatever it is that you want to use it for. So I think that's the most important part. Everybody's excited. If you're telling me I can probably do something that took me good 3 hours and 5 minutes. Bruh, I'm gonna take that thing. But it's understanding how does it enable me to do that thing and what risks does it introduce into my organization if it is not properly governed, if there are not proper rules around how this thing should operate. I know that the old school of thought may possibly be the ones that are more risk averse when it comes to the adoption of AI, but I think because I engage mainly with the more tech savvy, if you will, colleagues and counterparts, it's easier for them to adopt it and be excited about it also.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, I'm excited about AI, and I feel like it really helps make the tedious work that we hate doing.
Yeah.
It helps make them not a part of of the skeletons in our closets. It makes us look forward to doing the important stuff, the stuff that that's key to growing the business, that's key to
Yeah.
having an impact, without being too tedious in the other small tasks. Because really we are always looking for ways to avoid tasks that don't really add value but have to be
Yeah.
done. So
Yeah.
we want to have a tool to use to be able to enhance that part of our work. Noneba, you are back with us. Yay, she's smiling. She is here.
I am. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Hi.
Welcome, welcome. We've already introduced you, but we would like you to tell us a bit
Yes.
about, let's introduce yourself and let us know who you are.
Sure. So I am what I would like to call a AI empowered BA now. I have a background a bit on software testing. I have a IT background of about 15 years combined. I have worked, or I am currently working within the fintech space, a BA, and I have experience being a AI BA as well as a AI empowered BA.
That is amazing. It looks like we're talking about the right topic when we're talking with you right now. The topic we just had with Yolanda is mainly about artificial intelligence.
Innovations were introduced.
It had. There's a time prison here.
Maybe.
So AB, I think we've got a lag with
Yeah,
no
with a bit of
hear
a.
me?
We can hear you loud and clear. I think your audio has a bit of a time lag.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But are you guys hearing me at all?
We are hearing you. It's just after
A little
some time. Yeah.
bit of bandwidth. So I'm just going to switch off. Oh, okay. Okay. Yes. There's a question that you posed to me.
Oh yes. No, I was saying that you are the right person to talk about AI with, because that's the topic we've just been having with Yolanda about how AI really impacts our workspace. Is it something that we feel that is overused, and how important is it really of a tool to introduce to our workspace?
Yes, yes. So I feel I actually agree with what Yolanda was saying in terms of us being careful of what we put on AI applications for the companies that we work for. So I feel that as much as we are now in this AI or in this innovative time in our lives, where traditionally something would take you maybe a week to do, but now you are able to do it within a few hours. However, that also comes hand in hand with responsibility and how we use it responsibly. So, empowered business analyst, I feel that firstly there's a bit of a evolution that's happening from people who used to be the traditional BAs who were focused on the documentation and the requirements that the BA needs to produce, and now us transitioning to the future BA who is over and above a person who will provide all of these artifacts. They are also a strategic advisor. They are also very, very much tech savvy, you know. They are also very much data savvy as well, because with the new BAs, we are now not and we come and we say, okay, business, this is how we think we can solve your problems. We can also ahead of the curve and come in the beginning and say, we have analyzed the data and the data has spoken in this way. These are the insights that we've gotten from the data. And we think that we can relieve bottlenecks by doing things, or even by changing maybe some of the old traditional, ways of work and modernizing everything that we're doing. I feel like in my career right now, most of the BAs that I'm talking to, or even within my organization, there's a huge move for digital transformation, where we are saying we are trying to not say out with the old, but we are trying to change the traditional ways of putting out work. And that, I think, requires a lot of soft skills that will come from the BA, just apart from the technical skills that they're going to have, but it comes with a whole lot more of other soft skills, such as collaborating better in order to be able to get out work faster and more efficient. Um, yeah, so I think that is where I'm at at this point.
No, I get you, and I mean, to be honest, I mean, there's a lot that we still need to learn about artificial intelligence, and the fact that you are in it and you actively use it as a tool is good to be. And I hope everybody who's listening knows that Noningaba is also going to be at the symposium, which is going to be valuable if you want to really learn about how to intertwine your career with artificial intelligence, along with all the other skills and experience that she brings, the knowledge and the impact that she's going to give you, very valuable. So you better be there. Being there is going to be valuable for your career, not just as a business analyst, but um, as a way of being able to use the tool to your advantage in your journey to becoming a business analyst and transitioning um, in that way. But I just want to know, Nongaba, I mean, I talked to Yolanda about this just now, and from a compliance perspective, she told me about the what she has learned about the impact about what AI has brought and how it's overused and abused, and the advantages and disadvantages that it has on her side. But as somebody who is actively working with it from a BA perspective, at your journey as a test analyst. Do you think it's abused? What kind of impact do you think it really has? Do you think it's something a useful tool to have, or do you think like the organizations that say that it should be banished, it's not something that they should be using in the workplace because people are over reliant on it, and people tend to slack off because the reliance on it makes them feel like they don't really need to do the work. AI can do the work for them.
So interesting enough, to answer your question, I'm just going to tell a short story of what happened in my workspace a couple of days ago. So we were chatting with a BA community that we have, and we have a younger group of BAs that started. I think they were in a grad program last year. So this year they are junior BAs, and they are quite much the art of research, researching your requirements, researching the work that you need to put out. Then I then took them back in my day and said, yo, when I was first introduced to research, I had to go to the library. I had to try and find my way around a specific topic that I'm working on. I was like, you used to go to the library and Google it there. And I said, no, that was before Google. At that point in time, as a child, I had to go to the library and actually get the physical book back then. They looked at me with this wide-eyed gaze that, what, you guys did that? Why? So fast forward, comparing the traditional BA that grew up in a era where they worked really hard to put together the whatever topic that they were going to be discussing. And now coming to an era where there is a BA that can just take a snapshot of their requirements, put it on a GPT tool and say, give me use case that will match this scenario, factoring this and that stakeholder or from that point of view, and the AI tool just generates that for them. Then within a few minutes, they've got the use cases, they've got everything. Be sometimes questionable, Compare that now to a traditional BA who can in these days be seen a little bit slower because precise, However, in can you hear me now?
Yeah, there's just a little bit of distance between your words.
Oh, okay, I'll continue. So as I was saying, with the whole agility process that we are now looking, or that we are now finding ourselves working in, more and more companies are now being more agile, and they are more ourselves working faster but working more accurately. So who would you then say would be the better performing BA? One that will produce requirements and use cases and all other artifacts very quickly and say, but we are in an agile process, and if this needs to change, I'll just refine it in the next sprint and the next sprint. Or traditional BA who say, I'll only bring this out when it's ready. So I think that's the gap that we are finding ourselves in now, where we are having the traditional BA and the AI BA in the same space, but with completely different turnaround times and completely different research methods. So, to answer your question, you had said in this era where we are now using AI, sorry, please come again with your question.
Like
You
in this,
said
yeah, in this era where
in
we're
this day
using
and era where
AI,
we are using AI,
yeah, do you feel that it's being overused and abused, or do you think that it's a very useful tool to have in your field?
I think that bottom line is it depends on how responsibly you use the tool, because you could go and do your proper research, your requirements and whatever artifacts that you need, and ask AI to assist you in terms of refining what you've got to be more precise, to be more readable, and to be maybe less repetitive if maybe you've repeated certain topics across your document or across. But trusting AI to completely create everything on its own with just giving it a snapshot of information, then I think that is very irresponsible. And that would also lead to us being a lot lazier in terms of putting out our best work and actually putting out work that will not only just be fit for purpose, but also look at the bigger picture. I don't think that you have at hand, but there's always a bigger picture. How does this work that I'm putting out lead to the team's objectives, or the department's objectives, or the company's objectives? So just cause a lot of disassociations
Hmm?
in work that you put out, and be quite irresponsible instead of using it to refine.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think we got the core of what Nongleba is trying to say. The line is a bit glitchy, but the core of what she was trying to say is pretty clear. But Z has something very special to show us.
I'm here to remind you of something. So let me just take it away.
Business analysis is evolving. Are you ready to elevate your career, innovate with new ideas, and lead with confidence? Join us on the 12th of April 2025 at the prestigious NH Hotel in Sandton for the BASymposium, a one-day conference designed to inspire, empower, and connect business analysts like you. Get ready for an unforgettable experience featuring industry thought leaders, sharing insight that will redefine the future of business analysis. Network with fellow professionals, gain practical insights, and take your career to the next level. All for just $1499. Seats are limited, so secure your spot today. Visit theBALab.com to register. Elevate, innovate, lead. The time is now. See you at the BASymposium 2025.
There we have it, ladies and gentlemen. This is the BASymposium 2025. Get ready to elevate, innovate, and lead. So you will be there. Just a quick reminder of the change of venue It's no longer going to be at the venue that was advertised. It's going to be online, so as to accommodate our broader audience that's going to be all over the country and all over the world. We'll be able to accommodate everyone, and it will be beneficial for you to come in, not just to listen to our speakers that are going to be impactful, but to be able to network with the range of people that are going to be there from different spheres of life, different knowledge, and experiences. I think it's going to be valuable just to be in those rooms and be able to absorb the kind of knowledge and experience that is going to be there. It's going to be powerful. Okay, so
And it's not just for BAs only. As you can see, the range of guests that we have. We have people coming from compliance, leaders that will help you just learn and grow. So we are so excited. And because of the venue change, the cost has also reduced for you to be able to join us as well.
no, definitely. I mean, you can tell by the people we have in the room right now that there's so much diversity in what they're doing. I mean, already we have business analysis, AI specialists, we have test analysts, we have compliance, we have. You know what? If you're not there, I don't know what you do. What better thing you're doing with your life? You should be in that room. You should be connecting with these people. If you want to innovate, elevate, and lead. I mean, if you want to become a leader in your industry, be in that room. This is the place to be. So, Yolanda, just one more thing. How do you see the topic that you're going to be talking about evolving in the future of business analysis? And I say this because you work with a lot of business analysis. You are the boss. You are the back where it stops. You are the person that says So how do you see it really evolving in the BA space in the future of business analysis?
Sure. That is a loaded question, and I think I will take it from Nonceba's statement around future centric and tech centric BAs, and the fact that there has to be data driven insight. So, if you look at a regulatory or legislative landscape, regulators currently are using data to drive how they enhance legislation, understanding the risks that we are exposed to. So once you have a BA that has data-driven insights, right, you can actually preempt, because it's going to be probably at an industry level that those insights are coming through. You can already preempt what regulators are going to be focusing on from a risk perspective and how those regulatory frameworks are going to start changing to cater for that risk. So I think that's the future of BAs, understanding that the work that you do and the insights that you get from the data that you use to drive your solutions will probably also drive how regulators respond to the issues that you guys are addressing, or the inefficiencies that you guys seek to solution for.
Well, definitely. I mean, you touched on a very important thing there, and that's regulation. I mean, the regulators are there to regulate, and but the other thing that I also understand is that regulations change. I mean, now governments change. We just had elections not so long ago, and the GNU comes up with new regulations that are implemented in our industries. And then now we have to come and say, okay, now we have to update our business systems to still
Yep.
comply. Our business processes must still apply to the same processes must apply now to different regulations.
Yep.
Now, how do you deal with that? How do you then go to a process that was already there, and now have to find ways to regulate it according to the now standards that have been imposed?
Sure, that's a tricky question, because it's not a me thing. I can only, from a compliance perspective, raise a particular risk, right? I think the most topical and most recent one we had was two-pot. I think
Yeah.
either you experienced it as a BA and you had to solve for it, or you were trying to get your pensions. So either way, we all have experienced two-pot, right? And
Yeah.
that regulation came and introduced something new. As a compliance and risk professional, we can only raise the risk. How you guys solve for it is now stepping into the BA's world to say, understanding our environment, understanding our processes, understanding our systems. This is how we believe we can build for this regulatory change. So we walk that journey to say, the artifacts that you guys need to deliver at the end of the day, will they suffice as evidence for a regulator saying we were prudent in implementing and embedding this legislative requirement? I think one of the things that I saw before two-pot was the regulators went out to the big pension fund administrators, and they said before two-pot even went live, because they were so scared that, the industry was going to collapse. We weren't going to be able to make the payments. SARS was going to be a blocker and all of these other things. And they preempted those issues up front. They went and they met with pension funds administrators, and they met the tech teams that built this thing. They met with the business analysts and sat and told us, how have you solved for this? So I actually sat in a couple of those. And it was very interesting that from a compliance perspective, you literally sat there and you had the BAs talking to the regulators saying, okay, this was the requirement, this is what we've built, this is what we've understood, these are the risks that we are anticipating, and this is what we have planned to cater for those type of incidences. It was a very interesting sort of turning the tables, if you will, because a lot of the times we think regulators are just going to sit with compliance and risk and internal audit. No, they were speaking directly to the people that were in the work. So he who's in the work changes the work.
Oh, yes.
Definitely. And I mean, Z, I'm sure you've had your sleepless nights with compliance during two-pot. as a
I was one of the lucky ones that didn't work on two-pot, so I missed the bullet there. But just maybe thinking about this symposium as well, I think I can already see how the topics are going to be so jam-packed and all of that. What should someone who hasn't registered consider registering now for this year's symposium? Maybe based on your topic, Yolanda, and then back to Nongeba as well. What should they be looking forward to hearing from you?
I think from my perspective, it's certainly going to be understanding that you're a change agent. And as a change agent in the organization, you must have the ability to build strategic partnerships, because it is those strategic partnerships that will set you apart from your industry peers. We are all competing for work here. We all want to be thought leaders, making big moves in the industries that we're in.
Yeah.
And this symposium is going to be the one that tells you essentially how you can, as a change agent, set yourself up in your own internal organizations and as at an industry level also.
That is exciting, actually. I
I'm
like
excited.
that we are change
I'm
leaders.
excited to join, and I'm going to be there. I feel like
And
I
just
should keep fast forwarding just to get to that date.
as a change leader, I think, or someone that aspires to leadership like that and making an impact, you definitely then should be there. And from your side, Nongeba?
I think Yolanda has touched the better part of it. However, I'd like to reach out to is also the young and aspiring BAs. I think there's a lot that they can learn from this, because as Yolanda said, there's going to be thought leaders there, people who haven't about this type of role, but also have lived this role, And the other nice thing about being a BA is that you sometimes find yourself wearing multiple hats at the same time. You can find yourself being a Scrum Master, being a PM, being a PO at the into ones that are maybe within the intermediate to junior levels in their careers and are wanting to grow a little bit more and reach, their goals, their senior maybe roles. I think this symposium will also be a great space for them to be in, and also for networking. The power of networking is actually amazing. I think it would be a great space to come in, you'd meet people within your career. So that's what I think is the main aim for me for attending this symposium.
Yeah, fantastic. That's, I mean, you guys are making me look forward to being there, and it's still a good few days away. I feel like you know what, we should just do it tomorrow.
Especially for the networking as well. I
Yeah.
have a lot of telltales just because of what networking and knowing the right people within the industry has done for me. And I think when you are there, you also get to experience it firsthand for yourself how it can actually work for you as well. So it's just incredibly exciting.
Yes, fantastic. So now we're going to do a rapid fire round, right? We're gonna give you a series of questions that you're going to, at the top of your head, on your feet, or maybe on your toes, just give me the first thing that comes to your mind, right? Z, should we give them one at a time or one question each, and they have to sequence?
Let's sequence it. Let's do it rapid. We'll sequence it.
Okay, let me start shooting. Yolanda, you go first, and then Noneva, you'll follow after, right? Okay, so I'm gonna hit you with a question, and then you tell me the first thing that comes to your head. Don't think about it. Just give me the simplest answer. Right? Okay, your favorite tool, your favorite BA tool.
Favorite BA tool?
You
Yo,
thinking, Yolanda?
I'm
You thinking?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
I heard you
Please.
mention AI. I heard you mention
Yeah,
AI.
there you go. There you
I
go.
wanted to go for it, and then I was like, yo.
You are scared of being judged.
She doesn't do business analysis. I can understand that. Never your one. Your favorite BA tool?
I don't know if I'd say my favorite BA tool. I don't know, maybe even Confluence. I know a
Yeah.
lot of people.
Look at all the BA in the house
So when
jumping.
back in the
Our traditional Confluence.
days. Yeah. And Jira.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd say Confluence.
Okay, next one. Agile or waterfall? Yolanda.
Agile.
Okay, why agile?
Because I've got my certification in it, and I think the iterations of the release trains and sprint planning are enough to make rapid changes, which is what business wants.
I hope our audience
Like
can all
that.
hear that. I hope they can all hear that.
Like that.
Never agile or waterfall.
Oh, agile.
Ooh, agile.
Oh, agile. I don't know if she's thinking or
She said agile.
or she said agile.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
okay. Fantastic. Okay, I didn't get that. I didn't hear her say agile.
I hear
But,
the agile.
oh, you heard agile.
We're agile, both.
Agile.
That's wild.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. Next question: work from home or work from the office?
Work from home.
Work from home.
yes.
Guys, why are we not working from home all the time? I'm guessing it's because of the freedom to work, all the time, and not have to face traffic and everything. That's the number
No,
one
I
thing.
Especially
love
trying
the
to.
traffic. Don't get me wrong. I love the traffic. I just find being back in the office as a social butterfly that I am. I am there.
Oh.
All the engagement all day.
Yeah.
Never work from home or work from the office.
Work from home. Work from
You didn't
home
think
for
about
me.
it. You want to say
Work from home. I feel like when you're working from home, you get a lot more hours in the day.
no,
Yes,
definitely.
I didn't have to. I've experienced both, and for me, it's just work from home. You can wake up a little bit later, just shower, have your coffee, then sit at your computer. You don't have to go through the whole traffic. You can even sweatpants and your baggy t-shirts.
You're good to
Unless it's
go.
that I love the flexibility of working from home.
No,
Yeah.
definitely. It all makes sense to work from home, and it saves us so much money. Ooh, guys, half your salary goes to transport. Okay, one more question, not the last one. One more. Okay, what's your BA superpower?
Can I have a BA superpower?
Oh yes, you can. You're an analyst even in compliance.
Yeah.
My BA superpower, I guess, is keeping everyone safe from personal liability. That's my BA superpower. So I save you guys from regulators, imprisonment, and the 10 million rand
No,
fines.
Oh, the
That's my
fights.
superpower as a
you
BA.
are our president. You you are cupcake right now. Like
Thank you.
yes, no never. What's your BA superpower?
On my side, I think it is my storytelling.
Mm.
I think as a I think that always helps to put things into perspective, and maybe also digging deeper to understand why. Why are we doing this? I hear that this is the requirement, but why? Where did it come from? Getting all of that, putting it together, and telling a story. I think that's my superpower.
Ah, fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah,
We need to
I
be
think
friends, Nongceba.
okay. One last one. One last one. One word that describes the future of business analysis, even as even in compliance.
Even in compliance.
Yes.
I guess I've already said it. Change agents. That's
And you
all
are
I've
the
got to
face of it.
say.
You are
Drops
the face
mic.
of it.
As for drops mic, love it.
Listen, I'm there with the change agent going, yeah, let's
I heard it drop as well. I heard it go.
Like I don't know, Noneb, after this, what tops it? I don't know. I feel nervous for you.
Drop the whole speaker. No, never.
Drop the whole speaker.
One word that describes the future of business analysis.
Sorry, you said said change.
One word that describes
Choose between change management and compliance.
No, one word that describes the future of business analysis.
One word that describes the future of business analysis. Well, I'll put a hyphen in between and make it one word. I'd say strategic partner.
Ooh,
Strategic partner. That's what we are.
there's the speaker dropped.
And she's the partner that you want. The whole speaker is dropped.
The whole speaker's so dropped. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us. This has been so much fun. We cannot wait to see you guys Saturday. We are so sure that our members are just going to benefit from what you guys are going to be sharing. From my side and Avi's side, thank you so much and have a good evening, everybody. And thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you, everyone.
Cheers.
See you there at the symposium, everybody.
Stay connected with us and keep the conversation going. Follow us on social media for the latest updates, news, and more opportunities to connect. Or visit our website at www.theBALab.com to explore more resources, register as a member, and engage with like-minded individuals in our growing community. Thank you for joining us for the Power Connect webinar. We hope you found this session insightful. Until next time, keep powering your connections, and thank you for being part of our community.